What is going on, everybody? This is Dylan with Dylan Talks Tele. Today we're going to talk overdrive pedals. We're going to do a little review on one, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. So specifically, we're going to talk about Tube Screamer style pedals because they have kind of an interesting thing to them. This is the new Wampler Moxie, and it's based on, I believe, the TS10 style circuit, but it's got some other goodies on here that a normal Tube Screamer does not have. If you've ever used a Tube Screamer, you know they have this really pronounced mid-range hump in the middle of their frequency response. The reason they did that, I think, is because the way it was intended to use it was to put it in front of a clean or clean-ish, kind of on the edge of breakup sort of setup, and then be able to push that amp into breakup. But when that happens, sometimes what will happen is if all the signal goes up, then the extremities of the signal, so the extreme low end and the extreme high end, as they go up, you can get these real kind of fizzy, crackly top end. And more importantly, you can get this real muddy, muffly low end when you push all that signal up. So what they did basically was put that mid-range hump in there and made it to where it kind of sticks out through the mix better. This is because when you think about it, a guitar, we don't think about this very often, I guess, but a guitar is a vocal instrument. It shares the same space as human voice. So in that 1K mid-range, that's where you want to be heard. So if you push on a pedal expecting to get louder, expecting to have somebody hear your solo or your guitar part, that mid-range poke is where it's going to have to be. So it makes sense to do it. Here's the problem. When you do that, it works with some amps really well. Like a Fender style amp where they kind of have that mid-scoopy kind of thing, like a, I don't know, super reverb or something, or a twin. They're kind of flat, maybe even a little mid-scooped. So you put a Tube Screamer style in front of it and it works really well, like with a Strat or something, for example. Sometimes though, it can get super honky and nasally sounding. You put your nose, the guitar, you have your hand over your nose playing the guitar. You know what I mean. Anyway, that can happen, and it gives it, to me, they've kind of been sort of one-dimensional. They work in a couple of setups, or one or two-dimensional. They work in a couple of setups, and you can never really use them. Especially, in my opinion, when you go to higher gain stuff. When you go to a pickup that already has a lot of mid-range, you can have these problems. So let's go ahead and listen to some sound samples, and I'll kind of walk you through what I'm talking about here. First of all, let's go over a bass line for what we're using on all these tests. We're using a couple of different guitars because I want to illustrate a couple of different things. But we're using the Blackstar St. James. I have the 6L6 version, and we are going to make it completely clean to start with. And it sounds thusly. Now, a lot of people will use a Tube Screamer sort of like this, where we have not a lot of drive, just some level, and it sounds like this. Right, just pushes just a little bit into that kind of crunchy territory where you sort of get, you can just feel the amp pushed over its clean limit just a little bit, and it sounds really nice, and it's really expressive, and it works really good. And with that P90 in that neck pickup position, it sounds fantastic. I just think it's really a nice sound. Then, if you want to kind of take it to the next level and set your amp the pedal like this with a little bit more gain and a little bit more level, playing with the tone circuit just a little bit. Now we're going to listen to a Tele pickup, and it sounds like this. So for those pickups, in that situation, the Tube Screamer E kind of circuit is bomb. I mean, it works perfect. It sounds great. So that is, up until this point, basic TS10 sort of tone, right out of the Wampler Moxie. Now's where we get into a little bit of the magic of what Brian Wampler has done with this pedal. See this voice switch over here? When we switch this voice switch over, this changes what happens with that mid-range. It doesn't make it so pokey, and it gives it a little bit more clarity. And when you have a pickup that has a lot of mid-range to it, it really can have a nice effect. So, PRS Fiore, humbucker, take a listen. Now let's switch this switch. Lot less mid-range honky and some more clarity on the top end. This is what I really, really like about this thing. You could do the conventional Tube Screamer stuff, but now we're into like a wider open, more like just a bigger sound. Bigger, more open, just some nice clarity to it. It doesn't sound so nasally honky. And especially now that we're pouring some more gain on it a little bit, it's a little gainier sounding. We're using, we're really getting into overdrive territory here, and it sounds really good. But with that gain, or with that voice switch switched over, it's just a little bit more pleasant. Now, the only thing is, when you use this, you'll want to kind of decide where are you in the mix, and it gives you the option to say, well, I need to push the mid-range a little bit more. Well, let me flip this switch over, push the mid-range in the conventional setting, or if I want this kind of more open clarity, hit that voice control. I really, really like that switch. So the next thing we want to do is look at the other switch, because now we're going into, in my opinion, like the third pedal in the little pedal. So we've got the Tube Screamer, we've got the less Tube Screamer, now we've got like a proper overdrive with really higher gain sounds. We've not changed the amp at all. This is still the clean circuit on the amp. But now we've got the fat switch. So we're going to switch over to a kind of a higher output pickup with the MGK signature Schecter. Take a listen to this. All right, so let's do the same thing again. Let's give us no fat switch. So that's what this sounds like. All right, so let's give the fat switch a little click. The fat switch. More gain. Nice chunky low end. To me, that, now I'm not a big, like, I don't play that super fast chuggy stuff, but even to go that direction, I don't know. Have you ever played a Tube Screamer and really got it in that territory really nice? Mind you, we've not changed the amp. We've not changed, the physical amp. We haven't changed amps. We've not changed the settings on the amp. I've not touched any knobs. Everything we've done is in this pedal. And for 149 bucks, I think, is what this thing costs. I'll leave a link to it in the description. It's just, to me, there's a lot of dimensions here. There's a lot of stuff that can be done. Now, I know that this is a little less conventional way to do a pedal review. Switching guitars, I know a lot of people want to see like A, B, A, B, A, B across the thing. Here's the thing though. I think about pedal reviews a little bit differently. I don't do a whole lot of them, and I want to do more of them on this channel, but here's how I think about it. How am I going to use this pedal? Look at the circuit design, look at the intention of it, and then understand how I'm going to use it. this is how I'm going to use it. I'm either going to use it just pushing a little bit clean with some of those pickups that we talked about, like the Tele and the P90 pickups. They sound fantastic. And then I'm going to flip this switch when I start to get a little gainier with humbuckers, or even probably with the P90 like in the Gibson SG Junior up there. Then you've got that fat switch for higher gain stuff. Now, you're probably not, well, because of the guitars I have available, I'm not going to do it all on the same guitar, right? I'm going to use each of these a little differently. And especially for me to develop pickups around here, it's nice to be able to have that flexibility to be able to kind of hear it with all of those various settings, to go from the super mid-range push to the clarity of the voice switch switched over, and then to that low-end kind of chunk that fat switch gives you, and the more gain. I think it's really cool to have those flexibilities all the way across in one little $149 pedal. Brian Wampler, this was a hit. This is actually, I used to have a compressor a long time ago, but of the modern Wampler stuff, this is my first one in a while, and I really, really like it. There's a link to it in the description. Make sure you check it out. If you use that link, it does help out the channel a little bit, so I do appreciate it very much. This was not sponsored. I saw this. We featured it in our gear news that comes out every Wednesday, and I was like, I think I have to have it. So I just ordered it from Sweetwater, paid money for it, you know, no sponsor or anything. And I just want to share it with you because I think the flexibility of this takes this out of a regular tube screamer situation where if you don't like a tube screamer, try this one. Thanks for hanging out. We got a bunch of new videos coming, live stream stuff every week, and some pretty cool stuff. Probably as you see this, I'm actually in Colorado doing a workshop teaching people how to wind pickups. So we're going to have some footage coming about that in the next couple of weeks. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll talk to you soon.